Greetings, geeks. Welcome to Geeks in Space. I'm Rob Commander Taco Malda. We're going to orbit the news today with Chris DeBona.
Hi.
And Rob Roseboom. Guys, it's been so long.
It has been. And it's all my fault. I had so many things I had to do. So.
Way to go, Chris.
Yeah.
I thought we were friends.
I really like these moments with you, too.
Our special friend time.
It is special friend time.
You know how lonely it is out in space?
Right?
Right? It's like people talk about COVID, shoving them into their basements and their sheds and the rest, to do work. Imagine if you're in orbit.
Imagine if you're on the surface of Mars.
Are you on the surface of Mars today?
For no reason except when I was setting it up, my kid walked in and I was like, where should I be today? He says, Mars. I'm like, all right,
Mars.
I'll go find a Mars picture. I'm on Mars today.
And then your kid says, no, I meant you personally should be on Mars.
Yeah.
We don't want you here, Father. We don't want you here.
You are the parent we don't like as much.
You're the least favorite parent. One preferably with less oxygen and 1/10 the gravity.
Right.
Or 1/3 the gravity? What is?
It doesn't matter. I'd be dead because of the lack of oxygen and the fact that nights there are like negative 100 degrees.
I mean, there are so many stories we haven't talked about. We haven't talked about
9 days.
Bezos and his brother.
I know that's on there.
All right. Well, let's
go. Let's dig into it.
That's right. Okay, so a meat processor got hit by a cyber attack 9 days ago.
Yeah, they sure did.
Wow. And that's a weird one because now the all the stories that are connected to these recent cyber attacks are really interesting because they're actually talking about how Bitcoin is just enabling all of this now. Because there was no way really for you to transfer, $1 million ransom or whatever, short of like suitcases of cash. And this is like all dark and untraceable monies. So we had the pipeline and we had the meat processor, and these are going on all the time now. It's happening to hospitals.
I'm sure you probably heard the NPR story about it yesterday, since a major government has decided to switch over to Bitcoin instead of their currency.
Right.
But they were talking about, in addition to that, one of these ransomware folks set up a help desk for their victims. And they were talking about how fantastic the help desk was.
Such good customer service.
In any other service, it would be rated, like 4 stars of customer satisfaction. It just happens to be for, criminals.
I mean, has Comcast fallen so low that people are pining for just better customer service no matter what the service,
Look, guys, all we've got to do is be better than AT&T. And then we don't care.
It's got to be the Spectrum.
It feels like a crime either way, right?
Well, they want to make it as easy as possible for you to pay their ransom.
Yeah.
So
it makes sense.
They hire support staff to do it. I just thought it was a very, very neat story. Good idea. Yeah. Good for them.
Good. Yep. They're innovating.
I'm having a hard time saying good for them, because they're terrible, terrible people. Well, I mean, because there was I don't know which story we ended up linking to, but there was the one about how they're like, oh, hospitals, people are dying. Okay. As long as we get our money,
get our piece,
and it's like,
there's so many really weird, interesting pieces. There was one going around a while ago that was saying one of the larger ones that's like encrypting people's hard drives has a thing that detects if the Russian keyboard is installed. If your device has a Russian keyboard installed, it won't execute.
I installed the Russian keyboard prophylactically on all the machines in the house.
It's weird that that's just a thing, right? That Russia, with like the same size economy as like France,
it's smaller than California's.
It's like,
California is like the 3rd biggest economy in the world or something.
Right, they just don't like to count the fact that like the stock exchange is in New York. Ambaloo noted the thing about the feds recovering the bitcoins from the pipeline, and that was theoretically the thing that caused Bitcoin to fall by like 5 or 6 grand, like per coin, because the government got like whatever $50 million or $10 million worth of Bitcoin from the pipeline.
No, the reason why it went down in value is because when they did the pipeline thing, it became a matter of national concern in Russia. And I think some of those ransomware people died.
Yeah, well, that's
So
how it works.
That's
in
how
Russia.
they got those coins back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you know what? Not a tear was shed.
Indeed. Did you load up the
So
Gerryman?
Russia's not even the top 10 national economy.
No, they're not.
Just for the record.
They just appear outsized because, I mean, they have good marketing, I guess.
And nukes.
Yeah.
What was your next?
Oh, I was gonna say, did you try to load up the gerrymandering game?
It looks like it's a board game that you have to buy and download.
Oh, well then never mind.
Have delivered by a brown truck.
Now that I'm looking at the screenshot, it looks like Settlers of Catan, but like corrupting democracy.
Yeah, no, it looks fun. I definitely would love to try it, but I have not ordered it yet. So
I was reading an article about storing nuclear waste recently and how they were, like none of the states in the West want the nuclear waste dump site to be in them. And I had sort of an epiphany. It's like, okay, so there's like 5 states that collectively have like 15 electoral votes, and the number of people that live them can like basically fit within LA. It seems like that should be a fair trade. You guys get 15 electoral votes. Your vote in the presidency weighs triple or quadruple what the people in California does. So maybe you just get the nuclear waste. That's just the deal. You get to pick our president.
I don't mean this as a joke. This is such a toxic conversation, but we already built Yucca Mountain. It's just waiting there to be used. And honestly, Nevada, we've set off hundreds of nuclear weapons off in the Nevada desert, not far from Las Vegas. It's not going to get any worse just because we put a bunch of containers underground. It's just not.
And Vegas is fine. Like, those people are normal. Nothing bad has happened to them culturally from the years of radiation bombardment.
Yeah, well, I mean, specifically that's true. And also, I've been down on Vegas since I was born there. But even that, if I were living in Vegas, I wouldn't worry my pretty little head 1 second. Like, if you drive the nation's interstates and you get to recognize the various loads being carried by the heavy haulers, there's already nuclear stuff being carried. There's already incredibly poisonous gases being carried. It's like, if you drive I-80 through Utah, you pass by the Dugway Proving Grounds where they incinerate biological and chemical weapons.
Well, the road between Area 51 and Las Vegas, that's where they drive the zombies back and forth.
Right, as we learned in the Army of the Dead.
From the documentary Army of the Dead.
Honestly, the credit sequence was so good.
Wasn't it?
I still really think that the credit sequence, that should have been the movie.
I like
Best
everything
part of the movie.
I like everything about that movie until they get into the city.
Yeah, I mean, like literally, like what sticks with me is the credit sequence. Better character development, tighter storytelling, interesting, fun with all those wacky costumes, and Las Vegas, hen parties and bachelor parties.
I like zombies.
I mean, that was fun. Like, come on, Zach, give people a Snyder cut of the credits.
Have you read that there's a fan theory now that there's a time loop in that movie?
Oh yeah, I saw something about that. What was the story with that?
Well, there's apparently like bodies and stuff that look like the cast members, and so there's all these like hints that theoretically could be interpreted, and Snyder won't deny it. So good on him. Good on him. I
think Snyder likes preserving mystery when he doesn't have to do any work.
All right, we're gonna skip the 3D universe map because that went behind a paywall since I posted it.
Well, screw those
but we can
guys.
talk about the 3D or the Toxic Avenger reboot.
This is not a movie that needs a reboot. There's nobody saying, "Wow, if they only rebooted that, I would watch it now."
Yeah, I'm not waiting for the reboot of Nukem High.
Nope.
Right?
Yeah. Or Surf Nazis Must Die. It's a perfect movie. Don't
maybe
it.
that one.
What?
There should just be
better
a rule.
Special effects and more Surf Nazis.
And
more Surf Nazis. I mean, most movies
and they're all
would be
Proud
improved.
Boys.
Yeah.
I think there should be a rule that if Elvira has ever introduced your movie after 11 p.m., that you don't get a remake. That's the end.
Oh, you don't get a remake.
You don't get a remake. You're done. Like that.
So Velvet Vampire. No.
Yeah. That's IP that's done. Elvira said you're done. That's what you get.
That's a pretty good rule of thumb.
Mistress of the Dark.
That's right.
And original franchise.
That's right. Scroll up a tiny bit so we can see that keyboard. I shared this just because I wanted Mr. Bates to see it, but I put it in the channel. But Baron Harkonnen custom key. It's neat.
Wow, that's great.
I just think that's neat.
Is there a company that just sells custom keycaps that fit on cherry keys?
It's a whole thing. There's whole like YouTube channels dedicated to people making custom keycaps in any possible way you could imagine, like embedding little people inside of resin. And Evan and Caitlin did it.
I've seen Evan and Caitlin's resin keycaps videos. I have.
I know you have.
They're buying a new house and moving. We could have this be the Evan and Caitlin gossip channel.
Did you know that E and K are getting a new streaming setup? I may or may not be on their Patreon.
Part of the move?
I may, yeah.
I'm not a member of their Patreon, so. I there's only so many hours in the day. I have a job. I have many jobs.
I don't.
Because like I want to give money to what's his name? Tech Jesus, Steve.
Steve, I'm on his Patreon too.
But then I'm like, I would never join his Discord channel. Who has time for that shit?
I joined his Discord channel.
Is it? I bet you it's pretty nice there.
I don't actually read it. I'm just connected to it.
Okay. Well, you're a Patreon supporter.
Right. That's a benefit. I'm taking advantage of the benefit that I pay whatever $1 a month for or something.
I think he's in Washington State or Vancouver. Yeah. I don't know which one he's in. So
now I kind of have a philosophy now that if I subscribe to them on YouTube, I try to be on their Patreon. It seems only fair, especially for the people who put out like something like every week. That's a job.
Yeah, I should give money to Steve and to probably Evan and Caitlin, but I'm not going to join their Discords.
No, you don't need to.
That demands too much of me.
Well, I'm connected to both of their Discords, but I can't tell you that I've ever actually like read a conversation in them.
I don't know. It seems I'm just not that kind of fan.
I'm busy. I have other things to do. I could watch In the Heights, which came out on HBO last night. I'm sure we could talk about that for hours.
What is that?
Right? That was Lin-Manuel Miranda's musical before Hamilton. It's Puerto Rican folks in like the Washington Heights. Their neighborhood is collapsing through gentrification.
Is it a musical?
It is, of course, a musical.
Good.
Which meant I sang along through all the songs of the movie last night and made my wife very uncomfortable.
Good. Well, that wouldn't be the first time.
I am a bad singer. So El Salvador. We're
a kleptocracy. El Salvador.
Right. Well, I was just trying to come up with if they're going to use volcanic power generation to make Bitcoin. I was trying to figure out, can you call it Volcoin?
Ooh.
Volcanoin?
Geothermal-coin.
Ooh. You can't call it Geocoin. That has to exist.
No, geothermal coin.
Ooh, thermal coin?
Thermacoin. Thermacoin. That's cool.
Ooh, yeah. Yep. I actually kind of like that idea. If you're going to do it, all right, just do it with the energy from a volcano.
Well, the side story on this, as you know, because I posted in the channel, is that so they announced this thing at Bitcoin Miami 2021. And it turns out Bitcoin Miami was a super spreader event for the corona.
You're speculating.
Virus.
You're speculating.
No, there's a lot of people popping up who are like, yep, got COVID at Bitcoin.
Cool.
So I'm like, yep, because that was going to happen. This disease is not over yet. Not even in America, not even in the blue states. So
no, we're only at what, 50-60% vaccination now?
Some states have hit 70%. The blue states.
The states that educate their children through high school.
But I'm in a blue state currently because I traveled to California for a thing, and I went to a Starbucks this morning to get my iced tea, so I would have it and be properly caffeinated. And the person in front of me in line was sneezing with his nose out of his mask, and the person behind me was coughing, and it was a COVID cough. I swear to God. And he was wearing a mask because you can't
can tell. You're like those dogs that can smell it.
Yeah, I'm basically a COVID dog, and I'm just like, and I've been vaccinated, and it's been more than 2 weeks, and I'm just like, so I'm not like worried for me, but I'm just like, wow, and it was just like, it's disappointing. We just need to go a little longer, America.
10% more vaccination, but it's not going to happen. We've hit the asymptotic thing where now all that's left is the paranoids.
Yeah. This story is actually even more interesting in that switching over to Bitcoin as their legal tender.
Yeah.
And they're in the midst of getting $1 billion from the IMF. And the IMF is like, you're switching to Bitcoin?
Don't.
We're not going to give you money for Bitcoin.
They're going to just buy Bitcoin with it. That's what I would do.
They're going to have to get some lawyers involved now.
Yeah, no, this will probably temporarily push up the price of Bitcoin. And then people are like, and now let's screw over El Salvador.
Yeah.
You know,
those people are
and they're saying that people can get paid. Their civil servants can get paid in Bitcoin if they want. And it's just like,
right, that's a great place to live. Everything is
idea.
fine there. They should definitely switch their economy over to a currency that fluctuates by 50% on any given day.
It's about time, because El Salvador has had just a terrific run of luck.
Right?
Right, since we were teenagers.
Yep.
You've never heard anything bad happening there. So.
It's just good
it's
stories.
A paradise. It's just it's the jewel of Central America. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see. Lord of the Rings is getting an anime prequel, The War of the Rohirrim. And they're getting one of the writers from the original Lord of the Rings trilogy movies to consult.
Lord of the Rings, not Hobbit.
Right? No, the original ones, the movies that were good.
The good ones.
Not the things that make me want to vomit.
Yeah.
So is this one going to be set on the South Island of New Zealand? But it's anime.
It's anime.
So
it's going to be set.
Probably not.
It's going to be set in the office of whatever studio is willing to animate it the cheapest.
Yeah.
Honestly, they've been milking this thing so much. I don't think, between the series on Amazon, now this, and frankly, The Hobbit was an insult to people who loved that book. It's like, I think maybe you should give it a rest for a couple decades.
See, I'm okay with this. I think that you can have.
It'll come down to if it's any good.
Right. Well, for sure. And like they're not doing what Disney is doing with Star Wars and with Marvel, where those shows are both like they've got like 10 shows in production. This is basically we got a live action and we got an anime.
We have 2 shows.
That's not bad. That's reasonable.
Yes. And while I'm not a big fan of prequels, I guess technically The Mandalorian was a prequel. And I liked that.
It's a prequel to something.
I mean, because it was between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens, right?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, everything in those shows now are wrapped inside of other plot lines. It's the way you keep the fans invested.
Yeah.
So Lake Mead has fallen to its lowest water level since they built the Hoover Dam.
Yeah, it's at. I think I remember from reading it, it's at 30% capacity right now. So there you go. And it's kind of related to the story above it.
Yeah.
There's
They're saying that this is the year the Rio Grande and the Colorado will send brackish and runoff only to Mexico.
Wow.
And it's like, this is not good. This is very bad. Yeah. So they do this measurement in the Sierras where they say what the snow pack level was and how bad a drought or an overage is going to be. There's been an overage in a while. And so they found the snowpack level was at 2% of historical average.
Sure.
And it was just like, oof. This is no bueno.
The thing that just weirds me out about all of this is like you keep reading about like there's a drought in California and like, well, I guess kinda, but most of California is essentially a desert anyway. It was just wet enough to support the population that was there 50 years ago. It's a dry place. It's not.
No, it's a very dry place. But then we put an enormous amount of agriculture that needs an enormous amount of acre feet of water.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like all those almond trees, all those rice fields. It's
we have to figure out something to do. But luckily, we might be able to fix it.
We have an answer.
Just altering the moon's orbit, right?
Right, that'll fix it.
In one Louis Gohmert, we have the answer.
Yep. Why am I not surprised?
I should say a answer. Not the answer.
A theory. An untested theory. I mean, he's just promoting science. He wants us to test his hypothesis.
He's just a huge science person.
By altering the moon's orbit.
What government agency was it that he was asking if they could do that?
The Bureau of Land Management.
Yeah, that's what it
Park
was.
Service.
Yeah.
because all those BLM rockets that go into the air. Those are the
right.
And it was funny because he put out a clarification. This is the thing that killed me about this. He put out a clarification. He said, "Listen, I know that BLM is Bureau of Land Management, not Black Lives Matter." And I'm like, that was what you took away from your mistake?
Right.
Not that we shouldn't be messing with or could mess with the orbit of our moon?
Well,
you thought people thought you were talking about Black Lives Matter. Okay.
If we get some of the bears out west to stop focusing on stealing picnic baskets, instead moving the moon, I mean, maybe we got a shot, right?
What we need is Wonder Woman's
listen,
lasso.
I want to be clear. I wasn't talking about the Chicago Bears. I was talking about Yogi Bear.
Right.
If you put we've been joking about this for the last couple days, but I don't know that there's been a story that made me feel so sad for humanity as this in recent times.
Yeah.
It's just,
I mean, we're doomed. I get why Bezos and his brother are desperate to get into low Earth orbit. They're just like, well, maybe we can dodge the moon as it's descending towards the planet.
I think I've read versions of this before, but I've been in rooms with very smart people, and the thing that amazes me is that most of them are not any smarter than me, and and a surprising number of them are substantially dumber than me. And I consider myself to be reasonably average intelligent, and like these are people who are important, like high level people in governments and businesses, and they're idiots. And that's like true in every room.
Well, I think this is an interesting divergence. But even the dumbest people you've probably met with wouldn't say, hey, let's move the moon.
Right.
Outside of like a science fiction sort of scenario.
But this man is an elected representative.
Tens of thousands. This sounds like Missouri.
Texas.
Texas.
I mean, I don't know how many people voted for this man, but thousands of people walked into a booth and said, yep, that's my guy.
That's my dude.
Yep. I mean,
he's got, the practical ideas that can get stuff done, right?
Yep. Oh my God. There's so many things. There's so many things wrong with this. All right. Let's see. There was a drone that refueled a U.S. Navy fighter jet in midair, which I think is.
Wait, I want to go back to Louis Gohmert.
All right. Let's. I wanted to make a joke about how we could change the orbit of the Earth or of the Moon by letting the Chicago Bears do the Super Bowl shuffle on like one side of it. They could throw the balance off, but.
They're not going to cause. No, what was it? We're not going to cause.
We're not going to cause no trouble. We're just here to do the Super Bowl shuffle.
The Super Bowl shuffle, which was like it was on the hit parade. It was in.
It was a thing in the '80s, man.
Mm-hmm.
I remember it. I remember thinking this was super lame, even back then.
I mean, do you remember the accompanying John Wayne rap and then the Ronald Reagan rap that came out all at the same time?
Oh no, I had to stay away from that stuff. It was
the mid '80s were a bad time.
It was, well, I mean, it wasn't universally bad, but there were some very bad things that came around. But yeah, it's true of any era. I mean, at least now we have the bears to help solve climate change.
That's right.
The bears.
We've moved them from picnic baskets to climate change.
Exactly. What was the name of Yogi Bear's little friend?
Boo Boo.
Boo Boo. Boo Boo.
Did you know? Here's a weird one for you. I went camping many times as a child at the Jellystone Park, which was a franchised campground a few miles from my house. And because of our relative heights, my friend and I got to dress up. He would be Yogi and I would be Boo Boo. And so I had to wear the big helmet and like walk around and like wave to the campers and stuff because this campground was so cheap that they just let the people staying at the campground dress up in their stinky sweaty suits.
Oh, that sounds disgusting.
So for like a couple of afternoons, I was Boo Boo.
It sounds like that's an unpaid internship, if you ask me, Rob.
That's right.
And that, America, is how COVID-19 really came out in 1990.
No, they Lysoled the inside of that mask.
Never.
Oh, yeah, man.
Never.
Fine.
The only reason I could put it on is because I didn't have a sense of smell.
Can you imagine? Oh, God,
it was wet. That's what I remember.
Yeah.
It was wet.
And there were like little pieces of nest from, the overwintering animals.
Probably, yeah.
God, so gross.
It
It probably looks like a horror mask now. It looks like Scarecrow from The Dark Knight.
No, it looked like a Five Nights at Freddy's costume.
Good to know.
It was not good.
Yeah, I was gonna say something. It doesn't matter anymore.
The moon's orbit.
So drones.
Drones.
So this is the thing. We've spent the total program costs of the F-35 is like $1.2 trillion. Trillion.
Yeah.
Right, over the lifetime of the program, which is 10 to 20 years. It's insultingly high. It's like, oh my goodness, we could literally rebuild every bridge, every water system in the country for the price of that one weapon system.
Right.
And then you have these little drones coming out that cost on the order of tens of millions of dollars that are doing everything. And a lot of people think the UFO thing that they broadcast was just a bunch of really clever drones. We've had drone attacks against our troops. We've had drone attacks against our ships. We've had drone attacks against our things. And it's just people are like, well, or I could strap an Arduino to a big hunk of high explosives and send it towards that ship over there.
Right.
And we're wasting our time, money, and extensive manufacturing experience to build crap. And then we at least build a nice drone that can refill the crap. And I'm like,
it's amazing.
This is so dumb.
My related thing to this is always when you talk about like the SLS program, the SLS rocket launches, and you're like, okay, you've got Starship that's done more, in like the last couple of years than you guys did by blowing just a huge percentage of NASA's budget for decades. It's insulting.
Well, what's really insulting is what the total program cost of SLS is something like $22 billion versus $1.2 trillion for the F-35.
Yeah.
I mean, this is how insulting. This is the kind of thing you think, is this the end of the country? Is this where we run out of money? Is this where we run out of runway here?
The drones might solve all that for us, because this week too, they released that story about how a drone evidently went rogue, found a target in Pakistan years ago, and killed someone without anyone giving the order.
Murder bot.
So they're just making decisions now. So
Skynet's real, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing about the drones. The thing about the drones that just weirds me out is you can take one of those jets. It's $100 million, let's say, for one of these jets, which is optimistic at this point. Or you could literally buy a bunch of DJI Mavic 2s for $1,000, strap a hand grenade to them, and for $2,000 you could send 1 million of them out there. I mean, okay, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
You could, like, the destruction that you could do, it's so imbalanced. It's like so imbalanced. The only reason that it makes any logical sense is because there are contractors in 20 states that are getting money from it.
They could make drones.
Yeah, but you can make 1 million drones, or you can make one part for one engine, and that's easier.
Yeah. So one of the stories that we didn't talk about. So you said drones, which makes you think naturally of bees, which leads naturally to the TikTok bee lady controversy.
I thought you were going to talk about Jeff Bezos.
No. That's the next story.
Oh.
So what happened was, see, the woman on the right, the blonde gal, she goes around and does these almost Asmer-esque videos about
Is that how you
bee
say
swarms.
that word?
That's how I say it.
I always spelled it out.
Well, I'm just gonna say Asmer today. Okay?
All right, you're cutting edge.
I am. I'm a trendsetter, a change maker,
an influencer.
I'm a beefluencer. No, so the woman on the right, she's basically she goes, there was a swarm in southern Dallas or something, right? And then I went over there and look, she like scoops them up with her hand. She finds the queen, puts the queen in the hive, helps them all go into the hive, and they're incredible videos, right? But then other bee enthusiasts basically like, she's cheating, she's bringing, and it's just like, it's the funniest controversy.
So there's bee controversy?
There's bee controversy.
Because she's an unethical beekeeper, or because she's like faking it?
No, because she almost never wears protective equipment, and she's like, yeah, if the hive isn't upset, you'll only get stung like once. It's no big deal. And she just goes in, and she has like a special relationship with the bees, and I think they're jealous because they're all like, no, you wear protective equipment, and she's like, nah, you're cool. Just don't piss off the bees, don't upset them, just be with them and try to understand them. If they're not going into the hive, that don't go crazy with the smoke, just find the queen, help the queen move. And I'm just like, and they're like, no, you should always wear it's a great controversy. And then she did a video with Jason Derulo, which I think made all the Los Angeles bee people jealous because they're the ones who usually like do stuff with like celebrities.
With Jason Derulo.
Anyway. Yeah. So anyway.
All right. Well,
and they're like, she probably puts on a suit and does the removal, and then, goes in with the no protective gear.
You know what I love?
They are not going to like that there are literally dozens of videos of people moving queen bees in hives without protective gear.
That's incredible.
All they have to do is YouTube it.
I love that every single specialty has like drama like this. Like, it doesn't matter what the specialty is. This drama is that this lady doesn't wear a glove, but it's like Colonel Dev. You were talking about Linus posting about the vaccine stuff. Every community has dramas.
Oh yeah.
It's great.
Especially the TikTok beefluencer community.
Right, the TikTok beefluencers. Oh honey.
Yeah. Oh, honey.
Oh, honey.
And there was like one of them is a Trump supporter or isn't.
There's nowhere to hide.
And then, of course, the supporters of the Texas bee lady all like reported the people who are against the Texas bee lady to Instagram for bullying. And it's like, oh my God, this is.
See, I have one family member who is of the sort that if they get stung by a bee, they will die.
Sure.
And that person is
Serious
in the genetic hierarchy of my children. So we don't know. Could be. See what I did there?
Well, do you have any EpiPens around the house for this kind of thing?
There are EpiPens.
Yeah. And you've been trained in their use?
I have actually not, but my wife knows the deal.
Yeah. When my wife was running hot lunch at the school, anyone who was going to help out had to get EpiPen training and the rest. So.
That's actually kind of cool that they would do that.
Well, no, it drove some parents away because they were just too freaked out. And Christine, my wife, she's like, would you rather not know how to deal with this problem and have a kid die?
Right.
And it's like, well, when you start mentioning kids die, you probably scared away another 5 people. But
All right. Speaking of bees, Jeff Bezos is going into space.
Jeff Bezos.
He became the richest dude in the world, built a spaceship company, all to take his brother up into kinda space.
I have to be honest with you. 3 in every 100 people who have gone to space, 6 in every 100 people who have gone to space have died.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, you have to be pretty confident.
It's a show. It's a show support.
Yeah. At the same time, I mean, imagine if something goes wrong and they both die.
I mean, I don't know either of them. It doesn't impact me particularly. It would be sad.
I've met Jeff like once. Now, it's not about. I wouldn't be sad for them, but it's just like, I'm like, I don't know, man. This seems really pretty risky. I don't know that I would take a sibling.
Like you don't think a single family could handle that much personal devastation?
Yeah, it'd be like Saving Private Ryan. You don't want to. Yeah.
No brother left behind. I don't know. I'm just saying my brother's never done anything that cool for me.
Yeah, right?
Sometimes we build a bonfire and pour gasoline on it. That's pretty neat.
That can kill you.
Sure.
Speaking of becoming a big black smear on the side of the countryside.
Right. Turning into charcoal. The last thing that we have on the list is Loki.
Okay. I haven't seen it yet, but y'all can talk about it. I heard it was good. Was it good?
It was pretty great.
I really want to see it.
Rob?
Sorry, I'm busy working while we're doing this. I'm a bad man.
Oh, how dare you?
I don't know.
How dare you multitask?
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Just for the record.
All right. So anyway, Loki. I read the reviews for it, and they were mostly positive. A lot of people were complaining that they didn't really like the first episode, but by the second episode, it was good. I, of course, don't have access to the first 2 episodes. I'm just a lowly plebe like everyone else, so I only watched the first episode, and I hate, for the most part, time travel stories. They're just...
And this is all time travel.
Yes, they're not my jam, but I thought this was great. I think this might be the strongest beginning to any of these Marvel next wave
Marvels
for
shows.
Sure. Yeah. Well, WandaVision had to be bogged down. The first 3 episodes were confusing, and for good reason. That was the nature of the story, and I loved how they did it. But there's a reason that they had to drop like 2 episodes opening weekend for WandaVision, because that show was really weird until they finally switched over to the color part at the end of the Brady Bunch episode. This show was very exposition heavy. But it was just fun. Just fun. And Owen Wilson is so good.
He's always good.
Yeah, I'm all in. I'm super excited. I couldn't care less, honestly, about Falcon and the Winter Soldier compared to WandaVision and Loki, because I feel like these are the things. Yeah. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier was an opportunity for them to just do a longer movie. But Loki and WandaVision are opportunities for them to take advantage of having 6 hours to tell a big story.
Is it only 6 episodes?
This one's 6 episodes.
Wow.
So if you math it out, this is going to be a 5-hour movie. It's going to be basically like as long as like Endgame and Infinity War together, maybe, or something.
Well, no, it's because it'd be. Are they 22-minute episodes?
No, this one was like 51.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So they did a good job of, if you've never watched any of the Avengers movies, you can get a flavor of who Loki is. You can get his jam. And I thought they did probably one of the best jobs of actually peeling back the facade of a character and getting into exactly what he thinks and why he does the stuff he does. There's the scene where they have a scene where basically they go over how, despite he says he wants to be king, he's never going to be king. He's always going to be a loser. He's never going to be the hero. Yeah. His journey is to make other people great because he sucks. Yeah. And there's a point where he kind of comes to terms with that, and he's like, I know that already. That's why I do the shit I do.
Will you stop telling me that?
so yeah, I thought it was really good.
Yeah, the things that I liked, there's some fans that are very mad, so I'll spoil a joke. So if anybody doesn't want spoilers, now's the time to hang up. Goodbye. This was episode 675 of Geeks in Space or whatever. In the TVA dimension, there's just a drawer filled with Infinity Stones. Yeah, and they're like, some of the guys use them as paperweights.
Yeah, Loki looks at him. He's like, Infinity Stones are like, yeah, you wouldn't believe how many of those we get around here. I loved the little infomercial cartoon that explained how you're a variant and you're probably going to be killed now because of your crimes. The whole bureaucracy of everything is great.
Yeah.
And I mean the scene where the guy gives him the stack of papers of everything he's ever said. And he's like, what's the meaning of this? Funny. And it prints out and he puts it on top. I mean, that bit was great. Probably one of the best bits. That's why I think.
My only bitch with that was that Loki is said to be at like 1,000 years old. And there is no way that everything that man has said fit in that one little stack. I can't imagine what the font size is of that stack of papers. They must have been using 2-point font.
Maybe it was just his tweets.
Both sides.
Both sides.
Both sides of the
paper.
Well,
you're in some weird time place. Maybe each piece of paper has an infinite number of sides.
That's true.
Huh?
Or maybe there's just like a thumb drive, like in the middle, like hollowed out, and like you do in a book in your secret book.
Yeah,
right.
USB drive.
These are terrible ideas.
Yeah.
Just enjoy the joke.
It's a great joke.
You don't have to explain it.
I do.
Just enjoy it.
I feel the need. Now I'm super excited. Although The other thing that I was discussing about this with my wife is because it came out on a Wednesday, and for the last like 2 years, all the Mandalorian episodes, the WandaVisions, they've all come out on Friday, and like it really threw my week off. I didn't like I really can't tell what day of the week it is anymore.
It's Loki +2.
There you go.
So, yeah.
Anyway, I am.
Which is ironic because Thursday is Thor's Day.
Yep.
Wednesday is Woden's Day, right?
Yep.
So
Friday is for Frigga.
It was for Frigga or Freya, right?
Is it Frigga or
Saturnalia? I don't know, man. Are they the same person? Are we talking about the same person?
Hey, Rob, you're the one who knows Norse mythology.
Frigga and Frey, no, they are different people.
Yeah, because I thought it was Friday for Frigga or for Freya? And then Saturday is Saturnalia. Sunday is probably Ra, and Sun.
I always thought it was for the sun and the moon. I thought that those got Romanized.
Yeah, maybe. And then Monday, I guess. What would Monday be?
I always thought it was the moon. I always thought it was for the sun and the moon.
That seems a little too easy, right?
I know.
Like maybe it's named after the moon that surrounds Kerbal.
Or maybe it's the moon that we need to adjust the orbit in order to keep things, fix the climate control so that the bees don't die out, so that the TikTok stars can still get angry.
Well, maybe, just maybe, that Louis Gohmert thinks that we have like that editor in Kerbal Space Program where you can change orbits and you can change
physics.
Physics. Maybe he thinks that's a real thing.
Yeah, maybe his kids just had cheat codes enabled on Kerbal, and he thinks that's how it works now.
I'd imagine a guy like Gohmert would be really upset if he found out the Kerbal Space Program was made by a Mexican software group. Like they're based in Mexico City. He'd probably be like, but we have to build a wall against the Kerbals.
Well, if you look at those guys, they do so much typing. Their arms look like they're just, half cantaloupes for biceps. That was his speech, right, about their legs.
Oh,
they skipped leg day.
Skipped leg day.
Kind of like
Thor. What were we talking about? I don't even know.
It doesn't matter. I think it's time for us to say goodbye.
Oh, Tuesday. Where did Tuesday come from? It came from Tuesday Weld.
Magnum says it's Tears Day.
Tears Day. Yeah. Is the name for Tear Garden 7 program of the Nazis? It was
the Norse spelled T-I-W, so Tuesday.
Tuesday.
And then Wednesday is Woden.
Oh,
Thursday is Thor. Friday is Freya. And then Saturn, Sun, and Moon.
Yeah. Okay, I want to point something that we didn't show in the channel was the Viking helmet commercial. Did you guys see that?
No.
It's basically a safety commercial, but it's set back in the Viking days, and there was a Viking who didn't want to wear a helmet because it crushed his braids and made him. He didn't need it because he wasn't going to get hit by the English anyway. I'll put it in the channel. It's really funny.
All right. Then let's say goodbye to the internet.
Bye, internet.
Goodbye, Chris DeBona.
Bye.
Goodbye, Rob Roseboom.
Goodbye.
I'm Rob Commander Taco Mala. This has been episode 625 Geeks in Space. We'll see you Tuesday for something. Bye.